Alright, so today we're working with methods and functions inside Java, and we're going to make a couple of customized ones. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new class, and let me put it in the proper directory here. Okay. And this one I'm going to call it dog. Now, what are we going to do with this dog? A couple things. First thing we're going to do is we're going to have a name for the dog, and we're also going to have a weight. So, what we're going to do is we're going to go string, name, and weight will be integer. Now, what I want to do is I want to add the word private in front of these. The reason I want to do that is it adds security to these variables so that I can't access it anyway. I have to access it using the proper methods that I'm going to create later on. It's not such a big deal for small programs, but when you get into larger, complex ones, it prevents memory leaks. It makes it harder for people to hack your program, that sort of thing. So we try to use this private keyword here as much as possible. So what I need to do with the dog is we typically make what's called get and set functions. So the name right now, because it's private, I can't access it from anywhere. So what I need to do is create a method that will get and set the name. So we'll do the get first. So public string get name. Now I use the word string here because it's going to return the string, which is the name. So return name. Now to set the name, you would go public void set name. It's a void because we're not returning anything, we're just setting the name basically. And the name, we need to send it a string. So string my new name. Okay. And we just have to say name equals my new name. So these are two functions now. We've got getName and setName. Now how do I use it? I'm going to create a separate file that is going to use this dog class. So let's save this for now. And we'll make a new file. Dog tester. Okay, so this is my dog tester program. First thing I need to do is actually make a dog. So we can say dog, and we'll call it Fido equals new dog. Okay. Now what I have to do is I have to set the name for Fido. So Fido dot set name, and we'll call it, well, we'll give it name Fido. This here calls this set name function I have right here. I'm sending in a string. Okay, the variable is going to be called my new name, and my new name is going to be stored instead of name, which is a private variable here. Later on, if I want to print out the name, I can't say system.out.println. I can't do Fido.name. Okay, because it's private, that won't work. Try and run it. Okay, see, name has been private access in dog, which means I can't access it this way. The way I have to access it is I have to actually use that function I created. Okay, I created this function called getName. That's what I have to use. So we'll use getName. Let's try it now. Perfect. We can give it a different name. We can give it, you know, ICS dog. Run that. That's its new name. Now, one of the things in your assignment you're going to have to do is use what's called a constructor. A constructor is a specific type of method. It's very similar to these, but what a constructor is it's a method that runs when you're actually creating your dog. So this line right here, I'm creating an instance of the dog. I'm making an actual instance of it. We can make two of them. We can make another one and call it Sammy. Okay, so now I have two different dogs. Those are called two instances of the dog, the two creations. What I want to do is create a constructor for the dog. Right now, when it runs, it doesn't actually give this a name. So if I try and print out Sammy's, okay, let's see what happens. It actually comes up with null, okay, because that variable hasn't been set. What we can do is we can actually create a default. What we do is just go public dog. This is the method that's going to run when I create my dog instance. And I'm going to say name equals default name. We'll just call it doggy. This is the default name. Now let's see if that makes a difference. Okay, so it actually has a default name. It no longer has that null method. So if I create a dog, this is what runs all the time. This is my constructor. Okay. And we can do other things too. We can set its weight right away. Weight equals 10. And we should also create the set and get for the weights as well. So public int get weight. Return the weight variable. And public void set weight. Okay, so these are the gets and sets for weight and for name. Now, what if I want to create a dog that as soon as I create it, it has a new name already, and it's not doggy? What you would do is this, basically. We have the constructor, this is the default one. We can actually make another constructor where this one I'm going to send in a name. This is a different version of a constructor. This constructor here, I'm actually sending in a variable, whereas this one, there's nothing in the brackets here. I'm not sending anything. This one I'm sending a string. So if I send in a string, I want to set the name to that string. Now, my Sammy dog here, if I run it, still says the name is doggy because I haven't set its name anywhere. What I can do is use my new constructor I have. Okay, this is going to call the second version of it because I'm sending in a string. It won't go this one because this one has a void here. There's nothing in the brackets. This is the version that has a string in it. So let's see if its name actually gets set to Sammy this time. And that worked. So you can make as many versions of the constructors as you want. You can create constructors that set the weight. You can create versions that have both the weight and the name. You could do something like this. Okay, where you're sending in both of them. And you would basically just say name equals my name and weight equals my weight. And then to use it, we just need to put a comma here and put 10. Okay, that would set its name to Sammy and its weight to 10. Okay, so far so good. Let's make sure the weight's okay. and we got the 10. So that's just a quick example of how we use these kind of methods and some different constructors. This is 3 different versions of the constructor for the dog class. It's a pretty useful tool, and I find that it really simplifies your program because you can do a lot in one line with this type of thing.